The ranch looks peaceful from the outside, but inside the walls of Heartland, everything is falling apart. Amy sits at the kitchen table, a pile of unpaid bills in front of her, the morning light slipping through the window like a reminder of better times. Ty stands quietly across from her, his jaw tight, eyes tired. They had always believed that helping others was what Heartland stood for: healing horses, mending hearts, saving lives. But now, that kindness has turned into a heavy chain pulling them under. The day begins like any other on the ranch. The wind carries the smell of hay and horses, and the sound of hooves echoes through the valley. Amy moves through the barn, brushing Spartan with slow, thoughtful strokes. She tries to focus on the steady rhythm, but her mind keeps drifting back to the same question: how much longer can they keep this going? Every time she looks at Spartan, she remembers why they do this. But love doesn't pay the bills. Ty walks in, his boots covered in mud from the early chores. He gives her a soft smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "Feed delivery came this morning," he says, his voice low. Amy nods, already knowing what's coming next. They're asking for payment by the end of the week. The words hang in the air like dust caught in sunlight. Amy sighs, placing the brush on the ledge. "We'll figure something out," she says, but even she doesn't believe it. Over the past few months, they've helped so many families who lost their homes, horses injured by the wildfire, neighbors struggling to rebuild. Heartland became a safe place, a shelter for anyone in need. But the cost of being that safe place has drained everything they had. At the kitchen table, later that morning, Amy spreads out the bills again. The numbers blur together. Ty leans against the counter, rubbing his forehead. "I can take extra hours at the clinic," he offers. Amy looks up, worry flashing in her eyes. "You're already working late every night. When are you supposed to rest?" He doesn't answer. Rest isn't part of the plan anymore. Jack stops by in the afternoon, his hat pulled low against the wind. He senses the tension before anyone speaks. "You two look like you've been through a storm," he says softly. Amy forces a smile. "Just busy, Grandpa." But Jack's no fool. He's been around long enough to see when a storm's brewing, even if the sky looks clear. He pulls out an envelope from his jacket, a small check from selling some old equipment. "Use this," he says. Amy shakes her head instantly. "We can't take your money." Jack sets it on the table anyway. "You're not taking it. You're borrowing it." Heartland's family. Family helps family. After he leaves, silence fills the room. Ty stares at the check but doesn't move it. Amy sits across from him, hands clasped together. "We said we wouldn't borrow again," she whispers. Ty nods slowly. "Yeah, we did." But neither of them pushes the envelope away. As the sun sets over the fields, Amy walks outside, watching Spartan graze near the fence. The ranch is beautiful, peaceful, strong, full of memories. But under that beauty is a quiet fear. The same land that has always felt like home now feels like a weight they can't carry much longer. And deep down, Amy knows that the hardest choices are still ahead. The next morning begins with frost on the fences and silence in the air. The kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels heavy, like the world is holding its breath. Amy steps out of the house, clutching a mug of coffee gone cold, her eyes following Ty as he loads supplies into the truck. His movements are slow, steady, and distant, like a man carrying the weight of two lives instead of one. She wants to say something, anything, but the words stick in her throat. The last few weeks have turned their mornings into routines of quiet tension. The laughter that once echoed around Heartland has been replaced by worry and the constant rustle of papers, bills, warnings, overdue notices. Ty finally looks up, his voice breaking the silence. "I called the bank." Amy's heart skips. "And they're giving us until the end of the month," he says, not meeting her eyes. "After that, they'll start the repossession process." Amy feels her chest tighten. Heartland, her family's legacy, wasn't just land. It was where everything began. Her mother's dream, her father's blood and sweat. Losing it wasn't just losing a home, it was losing everything that defined them. She walks closer, placing her hand on Ty's arm. "We'll find a way," she whispers, trying to sound brave. But Ty doesn't answer. His silence speaks louder than words. Later that day, Amy tries to keep herself busy at the barn. She tends to the horses, fixes a broken gate, and feeds Spartan. But every time she pauses, the numbers haunt her. Feed costs, medical bills, repairs. Every good deed they did for Hudson was coming back as a new dead. By afternoon, Lou shows up unannounced. She steps into the barn, arms crossed, concern written all over her face. "You two have been avoiding my calls," she says. Amy forces a smile. "Just been busy." Lou sighs, glancing around. "Busy keeping secrets, maybe." "I heard about the bank." Amy's face hardens. "We'll handle it." Lou shakes her head. "Amy, you don't have to do this alone. I can help. I have savings." "And no," Amy interrupts, sharper than she means to. "We've taken enough help already. We'll fix this ourselves." Lou looks at her for a long moment, then softens. "You're just like Mom. Too proud for your own good." She places a hand on Amy's shoulder. "Don't let pride ruin what you've built." As Lou leaves, Amy feels her strength falter. She walks into the paddock, watching Spartan run across the field. The horse moves freely, powerful and fearless. She envies that. Freedom without fear. For her and Ty, every decision now comes with a cost. That night, Ty returns late from the clinic. He drops his bag on the floor, shoulders slumped. "They're cutting my hours," he says quietly. "Business is slow." Amy's heart sinks. "So, what do we do?" Ty sits at the table, his hands running through his hair. "I'll find something else. Maybe construction, maybe long shifts up north." Amy's eyes widen. "That's hundreds of miles away." He looks at her with tired eyes. "It's either that, or we lose everything." The room goes quiet again. The only sound is the ticking of the clock and the wind outside brushing against the windows. Amy feels tears welling up, but she blinks them away. She knows Ty's right. They've come too far to give up now. As the night deepens, she looks out at the land beyond the window, fields that once felt endless, now shadowed by uncertainty. Every choice from now on would test not just their strength, but their love. Heartland was built on both, but even the strongest hearts can break when the weight becomes too much. Word travels fast in Hudson. Too fast. What starts as a whisper at Maggie's diner becomes a full-blown story by sunset. People talk, some with sympathy, others with judgment. Amy and Ty's names, once spoken with gratitude, now sit heavy in the air like secrets everyone knows but no one dares to say out loud. A tea first. Amy doesn't notice. She still goes into town to pick up supplies, still smiles at familiar faces, still waves to Mrs. Bell at the post office. But something feels different. The smiles she gets back don't reach the eyes. Conversations end when she walks by. People who once thanked her for helping their horses now avoid meeting her gaze. Inside Maggie's, the bell above the door jingles as Amy steps in for coffee. Two women at the corner booth lower their voices, pretending to read the menu. "It's such a shame," one whispers. "You'd think they'd manage money better. After all that success." The other nods. "Maybe kindness doesn't pay bills." Amy stands still for a moment, pretending she didn't hear, but her hands tremble as she takes her order. Back at the ranch, Ty feels the weight too. The suppliers who once extended credit now demand payment up front. He calls one after another, trying to explain, but patience runs thin. "We've helped you folks before, Ty," one of them says over the phone. "But business is business." The call ends with a soft click that sounds louder than a gunshot. By evening, Amy and Ty sit on the porch in silence. The horizon burns orange as the sun sinks behind the hills. Amy speaks first, her voice quiet. "I thought when you do right by people, it comes back around." Ty stares out at the distance. "It does, just not always when you need it most." The next day, Jack arrives early, bringing a box of feed in his truck. He sets it down without a word. Amy tries to protest, but he waves her off. "Don't start. You'd do the same for me." His eyes soften as he looks around. "This place has seen rougher days, Amy. Don't let pride be the thing that breaks it." Lou returns later that week, but this time she doesn't argue. Instead, she brings ideas. "We could host a charity riding event," she says, pacing in the kitchen. "Get the community involved, raise money, remind them what Heartland stands for." Ty looks doubtful. "Would anyone even come?" Lou shrugs. "Maybe not at first. But people remember good hearts. They just need reminding." Amy leans against the counter, the faintest spark of hope flickering inside her. Maybe Lou's right. Maybe the same town that turned away could turn back again. That night, Amy walks out to the barn. The air smells of hay and rain. She runs her hand down Spartan's neck, whispering softly, "We'll make it through this." Somehow, the horse nudges her shoulder. As if agreeing, in the distance, thunder rolls, a storm brewing on the horizon. Amy knows it's not just the weather. The storm is already here, circling closer each day. The community's faith, their future, even their marriage, it's all being tested. But for the first time in weeks, she feels something she thought she'd lost. The rain hasn't stopped for 3 days. It taps against the roof like a heartbeat that refuses to calm down. Heartland looks different now, wet, worn, and tired. The ground is soft beneath Amy's boots as she walks toward the barn, clutching Ty's jacket in her hands. He left early that morning, saying he had something to take care of, but she knew what that really meant. Another job interview, another desperate attempt to keep them from losing everything. Inside the barn, the air is cold. Spartan shifts in his stall, his breath fogging the air. Amy sits on a bale of hay, the jacket still pressed to her chest. Around her, the silence feels heavy, alive with the echoes of old laughter and forgotten dreams. This barn had always been her safe place where she healed broken horses and sometimes herself. But tonight, even the walls seem to whisper back her fears. She finally speaks out loud, her voice barely above a whisper. "I tried, Mom. I really did." The words tremble in the air. "You always said Heartland would take care of us if we took care of it. But what if I can't anymore?" Her throat tightens. Spartan moves closer as if listening. She reaches out, her hand finding his mane. "I thought love was enough. I thought doing the right thing was enough. For a long time, she just sits there, no tears, no movement. Just the quiet ache of someone who's run out of ways to be strong." Then the door opens. Ty stands there, soaked from the rain, hair plastered to his forehead. He looks exhausted, but his eyes are different, softer, brighter somehow. "Amy," he says quietly, stepping closer. "I think I found a way." She stands slowly, confused. "What do you mean?" He takes her hands, cold and rough from work. "A client at the clinic, Dr. Matthews. He's starting a new veterinary outreach program up north. They help rural communities with free treatments, build partnerships, train young vets. He wants me to join." Amy's heart races. "That sounds amazing," she says, then pauses. "But up north? That's months away from home." Ty nods, his jaw tightening. "It's not forever, but the pay's steady, and he said there's a sponsorship that could help with our debt. It's our chance to breathe again." Amy looks down, her heart torn in two. She's proud of him, she always has been. But the thought of him leaving, of facing the ranch alone, cuts deep. "You'd be gone during spring foaling, during the event with Lou, during everything." Ty cups her face, his touch warm despite the chill. "I know, but if I stay, we lose everything we've worked for. If I go, we might have a future again." She closes her eyes, fighting tears. The sound of the rain grows louder, filling the silence between them. Finally, she nods. "Then go. We'll figure it out, like we always do." He pulls her close, holding her tightly. For a moment, time stands still. No debt, no fear, no distance. Just two hearts that have fought too long to give up now. When Ty leaves the next morning, the sun finally breaks through the clouds. The light spills across the fields, turning the wet earth into gold. Amy watches the truck disappear down the road, her hand resting on Spartan's mane. She doesn't know what comes next, only that she'll keep fighting, because Heartland isn't just land. It's love, sacrifice, and faith that no storm lasts forever. And as Amy walks back toward the house, she knows one thing for sure: this isn't the end of their story. It's just the beginning of a new one. The morning feels different. Not lighter, but clearer, like the air has finally learned how to breathe again. The rain has washed away the dust and the doubts, leaving behind a quiet stillness that Amy hasn't felt in months. She stands at the kitchen window, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea, watching the sunlight break over the hills. Ty's truck is long gone, miles away by now, but his presence still lingers in every corner of the house. In every echo of laughter that once filled it, the bills are still there on the table, a reminder that their problems haven't vanished overnight. But something inside Amy has shifted. The fear that once gripped her chest has loosened. She's not waiting for someone to save Heartland anymore. She's ready to save it herself. She spends the morning walking through the ranch, her boots crunching softly against the damp ground. Everywhere she looks, there's a story: fences built by her father, barns repaired by Ty, horses healed by her own hands. Heartland has always survived because of love, not luck. Maybe that's still enough. By midday, she meets Lou at the riding ring. The wind carries the smell of wet earth and pine. Lou looks at her sister, surprised by the calm in her eyes. "You okay?" she asks carefully. Amy nods. "No, but I will be." They start planning the charity event again, this time with more purpose. Amy's idea is simple: a community day where people can bring their horses, learn about care, and share stories. No entrance fee, no pressure. Just Heartland opening its doors again. Word spreads quickly through Hudson. Some are curious, others skeptical. But on the day of the event, trucks and trailers start rolling in one by one. Familiar faces appear: people Amy and Ty once helped. Families who had lost everything, now standing with donations, baked goods, and banners that read "Heartland heals hearts." Amy stands by the fence, overwhelmed. Every laugh, every handshake feels like a piece of hope being rebuilt. Even without Ty beside her, she feels him here in every act of kindness he inspired. Later that evening, after the last trailer leaves, Amy sits by the fire pit with Jack. The sky above them burns orange and pink. "You did good today," Jack says, his voice rough but warm. She smiles softly. "We did, all of us." He nods, looking out at the fields. "You know, your mom once told me something. Said that Heartland wasn't about the land or the horses. It was about the people who keep showing up when things get hard." Amy looks at him, eyes glistening. "Then I guess we're still doing what she wanted." Jack chuckles, tossing another log into the fire. "Reckon so." As the flames rise, Amy pulls out her phone. A message from Ty flashes on the screen. "Made it safe. Thinking of you. Tell Spartan I'll be back before he misses me too much." She smiles through the tears that finally fall. Typing back, "Heartland's waiting for you." The night deepens around her, quiet and kind. The weight of the past months hasn't vanished, but it feels lighter now, shared between her, Ty, and the people who never stop believing. As the stars shimmer above the ranch, Amy knows the road ahead is still long. But for the first time in a long while, she isn't afraid. The storm has passed. The dawn has come, and Heartland, once again, is alive. The night is calm, but Amy can't sleep. The ranch is quiet except for the faint creak of the barn door swaying in the wind. The moonlight pours across the fields like silver paint, touching every fence post, every memory. She steps out onto the porch, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. From here, she can see everything: the barns, the pasture, the faint lights of Hudson in the distance. It all feels fragile and endless at the same time. Her phone buzzes softly in her hand, another message from Ty. "First day done. Long hours, but worth it. Tell everyone I miss home." She smiles, reading it twice before replying. "We're proud of you. The horses miss your voice." Then she puts the phone away and looks out again at the quiet landscape that still holds their dreams. Inside, the faint glow of the fireplace flickers against the walls. On the table lies the list she made earlier: expenses to cut, repairs to delay, debts to pay. It's messy, half erased, rewritten a dozen times. But beside it sits something new, a jar filled with small folded notes. Every one of them carries a donation from the community, gathered during the charity event. There's not enough to erase every debt, but it's a start, and more importantly, a reminder that they're not alone. The next morning, the ranch comes alive again. Horses snort and stomp in their stalls. Lou brings breakfast, her kids chasing each other across the yard. Even Jack whistles as he tightens a gate hinge. The mood has shifted, still cautious, still uncertain, but alive. Hope doesn't roar here. It hums quietly beneath the surface. Amy walks down to the paddock with Spartan. She leans against the fence, her hair catching the wind. "We made it through the storm," she whispers. "Now we rebuild." Spartan nudges her gently, and she laughs softly. That sound she hasn't heard from herself in weeks. Later in the afternoon, she gets a video call from Ty. The background shows a small clinic surrounded by pine trees and snow. He looks tired but happy. They love it here, he says. We're helping people who've never had a vet come this far north. It's different, Amy, but it feels right. She nods, her chest tightening with pride. You're doing what you're meant to do, he smiles back. And you are too, for a moment. Neither speaks. The connection flickers, but the silence between them feels warm. They've both changed stronger, steadier, shaped by the pain they endured. This distance isn't an ending. It's proof that their roots run deep enough to survive it. As the sun begins to set, Amy stands outside once more. The sky blazes gold and red, painting the land she loves in light. This is home, she says softly. No matter how far we go. She turns toward the barn, a small smile on her lips. Tomorrow there will be more challenges, more work, more uncertainty. But there will also be love, the kind that doesn't fade with distance or struggle. The wind rustles through the trees, carrying a sense of peace that's been missing for far too long. Amy closes her eyes, breathing it in. Heartland is healing. She can feel it. The screen fades in from black. The soft hum of wind and a faint heartbeat echo in the background, steady, alive. Then comes the voice, calm yet filled with emotion, the kind that feels like a memory speaking. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought against storms or loss, but against silence, the kind that creeps in when hope begins to fade. The camera drifts over Heartland's fields, sunlight spilling across the grass. Amy's silhouette stands near the barn, her hand resting on Spartan's neck. The voice continues, threading emotion through every word. Amy learned that saving others can cost more than money. It can take your peace, your strength, your belief in yourself. But in the end, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you stand back up, even when no one's watching. Clips flash quickly, Amy smiling faintly as she reads Ty's message. Jack closing the barn doors at sunset. Lou watching her sister with quiet pride. And the town of Hudson lit by golden light once again. Heartland has always been more than a ranch. It's a promise that love, even when bruised and battered, always finds a way to heal. That no distance is too far, and no loss too deep. When hearts are tied to the same dream, the music swells, a gentle piano mixed with the sound of wind over open fields. The narrator's voice softens, carrying the story to its close. Ty's gone for now, chasing a new path. Amy stays behind, rebuilding the home that gave them both a purpose. Different roads, same heart. This isn't the end, it's the quiet space between chapters. A moment of rest before the next sunrise. A faint sound of hooves fades in Spartan galloping through the field, free and untamed. The screen slowly turns to the rising sun, warm and full of light. In Heartland, every storm passes, every heart heals. And every ending is just a new beginning waiting for dawn. To be continued. Heartland Season 19 Fanfiction Episode 128, The Choice to Return.